All right, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council for the City of Platteville on Tuesday, June 11th, 2019, and we will start with roll call.
Sina Sharp. Here. Barbara Doss is excused. Ken Killian.
Here.
Robin Klein.
Here.
Isaac Shanley.
Here.
Eileen Nichols.
Here.
Barbara Stockhausen.
Here.
First item is consideration of the consent calendar. The following items may be approved on a single motion and vote due to their routine nature of previous discussion. Please indicate to the council president if you would prefer separate discussion and action. A is council minutes from our May 28th, 19 regular meeting. B is payment of bills. C is financial report for May. D is appointments to boards and commissions. This evening I have one appointment to make, James Wages to the Parks, Forestry, and Recreation Committee. E is licenses, temporary Class B license to serve fermented malt beverages and wine for the Southwest Rotary Club for Uncorked Downtown Wine Walk on Friday, June 14th from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Also in the packet are applications for 1-year and 2-year operator licenses to sell and serve alcohol. Number 3 is Class A beer to Jeff's Mini Mart LLC, Platteville. Scott D. Braun, agent for premises at 820 Mason Street, Jeff's Mini Mart. And number 4 is annual fermented malt beverages and intoxicating liquor license renewals, which are in our packet. Permits, number 1 is fireworks on the 4th of July. Number 2, street closing permit, 2nd Street from Main to Furnace, Mineral Street from Oak to 3rd for the 4th Annual Southwest Music Festival on Saturday, July 20th, from 7 a.m. until midnight. Number 3 is a walk-run permit for the Platteville Community Arboretum Monster Mash on Saturday, October 19th. And number 4, a parade permit for the Dairy Days Committee on Saturday, September 7th, starting at 9:30 a.m. Is there a motion on the consent calendar?
I move that we approve all the items underneath the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Sharp.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes. Yes.
Shanley.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is citizens' comments, observations, and petitions, if any, and we do have one person who's asked to speak for informational purposes only, Ben Belke.
Ben Belke, 910 Elk Street, Galena, Illinois. So I'm just going to do another quick little report like I kind of have been doing. There have been some other things that have come up at Platteville. For those of you who don't know, which I'm sure I think everybody here knows, I'm the president at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. So I mentioned last time about community service. We did get some final numbers back. For community service, this is just for student groups, so student organizations, and different clubs. So with 17 student groups and 107 people attending 557 events, they totaled a total of 1,700 hours, and that's about 16 hours per person. And for Greek life, with 15 chapters and 267 people participating in 1,926 events, it added up to about 6,400 hours, which is about 24 hours per person. And then in all, with it, 32 groups for 374 people, it totals 2,483 events, which equals about 3,200 hours, which is 21.9 hours per person. So that's pretty good. That's more than last year that we had. So it was a good rise. I know our Greek life and our Greek chapters have been trying really hard to increase our community service work. So that was really happy to see. And another thing I want to point out while we're on community service is that Pioneers Pay It Forward is on Labor Day, which is September 2nd, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you know anybody who owns any businesses and needs some extra help, you can contact Val Wetzel or the Pioneer Involvement Center, which if you need that information, I have it. And also NSR dates, if you haven't noticed, those are going on right now. So June 10th, 11th, and 17th, and June 19th through the 22nd, those are this month's. As well as myself and my vice president, Kirsten Fry, just came back from D.C. We went there for a conference, and we had a couple lobbying things there. So what we kind of did for our lobbying is the Higher Education Act, which if anybody knows what that is, it was passed in 1965. to this date, it's kind of the longest drought that it's had in its reauthorization. The last time it was reauthorized was, I think, 2006. It was in 2006, and it expired in 2013. So it's kind of our longest drought, and what that does is affordability for college, access, retention, and student loans. So we kind of advocated on behalf of that, as well as for the farm bill. Make sure that that's still going through. If anybody knows what the farm bill is, it kind of helps with it's $867 billion over the 10 years to help dairy farmers and entry-level farmers. Those were some new provisions that were added to the new bill. So we talked to Ron Johnson, Ron Kind, and Tammy Baldwin. So we kind of were able to talk to them, see what they thought on the issues, and show them some issues that we were having in our university. And another thing that I just wanted to add, I just wanted to say, I don't think I formally said thank you to you guys. Thank you to you guys and the residents of Platteville. I know it's hard dealing with a lot of college students coming to campus, 6,000 students in the fall, and then they just leave. I know that's a struggle, but I just want to say thank you for making this a little bit of home. For me, I'm from Galena, Illinois, so I'm out of state. Kirsten's from out of state. And I believe most of my executive board is from out of state. So that just shows you that a lot of people are coming here from out of state. So it is really nice to kind of show off Wisconsin, show off Platteville. I know some people have already wanted to stay in the area. I'm one of them that would want to stay in the area. And just thank you for helping us. Thank you for helping the students when they need it, and allowing us to work in your places. And just thank you in general for allowing me to speak. So thank you.
Thank
That'll
you,
be all.
Ben. Thank you for the update. That is the only person that has asked to speak this evening, so we'll go on to the reports in the packet. Library Board, Klein.
Nothing new, Dad.
Housing Authority Board, Killian.
No addition,
Killian for the Historic Preservation Commission.
no addition.
And Plan Commission, Klein. All right, other reports in our packet, the Water and Sewer Financial Report for May, the Airport Financial Report for May, and also Department Progress Reports. Any questions or comments on any of those? All right, seeing none, we'll go on to our first action item. Amendment to post-issuance compliance policy for tax-exempt and tax-advantaged obligations and continuing disclosure. And it's a good thing it's not any longer because it wouldn't fit on our page. All right.
So the city of Platteville issues tax-exempt bonds, general obligation bonds, and because of that, we are required to follow certain criteria to comply with IRS regulations. One of those criteria relates to disclosure of various things so that potential purchasers and past purchases of our general obligation bonds can see relevant information about us and about our debt. And so we have a continuing disclosure policy and post-issuance compliance policy that we adopted. But our financial advisors, Ella's, are advising us to add to our policy 2 new events that the Securities and Exchange Commission has added to the Securities Exchange Act. And so those 2 events are financial obligation incurrence or agreement, if material, and default event of acceleration, termination event, modification of terms or other similar events under the terms of a financial obligation of the obligated person, any of which reflect financial difficulties. So again, those 2 bullet points are items that, if they occurred, we would need to disclose them. And so our policy has been updated on page 8, and we're requesting that that the council approve that addition to the post-issuance compliance policy.
Is the update the portion in red?
Yes, so there's 2 bullet points that I believe are in red in your copy on page 8.
So everything else is the same from 2018?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the update.
Second.
Right. We have a motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Sharp,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Shanley,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Second action item is Resolution 1909, creating additional assigned parking locations within the city of Platteville.
Yes, thank you. Our current assigned parking program authorized up to 37 parking stalls for use in assigned parking. Prior to graduation this spring, 34 of the 37 were assigned under this program. All 13 in Lot 5 on Pine Street were assigned, 10 of 11 in Lot 4 on Oak Street were assigned, and 11 of 13 in Lot 2 Mineral Street were assigned. I have an updated number that we have 32 of 37 stalls rented during the summer months. So we are anticipating additional renters beginning in September, and we request authorization to make 8 more stalls in Lot 5 Pine Street available. It's less than the 26 stalls that were available for 24-hour parking under the previous lot configuration. And staff has monitored Lot 5, and the only times when the 3-hour stalls were full were during special events. The vast majority of the time, over a 1-month period, the 3-hour stalls were underutilized. So we believe that this would better balance the stalls needed for long versus short-term parking. So staff is recommending approval of Resolution 19-09, creating additional assigned parking locations.
Questions, anyone?
The church, have they chosen to rent any spots? The church that's located in,
I don't believe they have. Just so that you know, one of those 2 special events that lot was full happened to be the day that they had their grand opening.
I have a question about Roundtree Avenue. Did you monitor or look at that area during the academic year? I believe it has 31 spots, and those are free. How full were those?
Not very. I didn't do very much monitoring, but those were at least half. They were roughly half full most of the time that I recall, at least half full.
People didn't want them because they're too far away? Don't know,
Don't know.
I guess.
Howard, how did you choose, excuse me, how did you choose the additional 8 lots for Lot 5? To me, it would make more sense to, instead of having 4 in 2 different rows, to continuously do 8 additional lots, or excuse me, spots in one line item or one row. That way, if you ever expand it again, you just use up the next 4 that were there.
Quite frankly, the reason why we did that is because there are existing signposts right there, and it would be very easy to put reserved parking signs on both sides of the existing posts.
Sense?
And the way the program works, you can rent a spot for a year or less than a year, is that right?
The program works where you can rent it for an entire year, beginning September 1st through August 31st, or you can do it through the academic year, September 1st through May 15th, May 31st, and then there's a summer-only program for those remaining summer months.
The cost is $30 per month, is that what it is yet?
I believe so, yes.
I think you said the balance of short-term versus long-term parking, looking at 3 hours or less versus overnight. But how are we doing for like 5, 8, 10-hour parking? If somebody parks and doesn't know for sure when they're going to come back, but it's that day, or for a shift of work.
We have some of those longer-term spots in the Mineral Street parking lot back here, similar to what we had prior to the assigned parking stalls. We have 24-hour parking in the Roundtree Avenue lot that Mr. Killian was talking about, in the two Furnace Street parking lots. We have no overnight parking, basically all-day parking, and on a number of streets, on-street parking north of Mineral Street.
I guess maybe my question is, have you had any requests for more of that lately?
I have not heard of any.
I haven't either.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I move to approve Resolution 1909, creating additional assigned parking locations within the city of Platteville.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Sharp,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Shanley,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, and then we're on to information and discussion, the 2018 Compliance Maintenance Annual Report.
Yes. Thank you. This is an annual requirement. It's a self-report on the condition of our wastewater treatment plant, the collection system, the experience of our operators, and our financial and managerial capacity to run our system. We have a plant that's in excellent condition, operated by a very experienced staff. 2 of our 4 operators each have over 30 years of experience. Our system is graded an A in all areas for 2018. There were 3 recorded overflows, one at Lincoln and Maple Drive, and then twice at the wastewater plant itself due to high rain events last fall. Normally, in years past, those overflows would have caused our system to be rated a B, but for whatever reason, the DNR does not consider that a down check. So we also have enclosed a resolution that is required to demonstrate that the Common Council has reviewed and approved the submission of this report.
Questions, anyone?
Well, you've mentioned over time that Emmy Roth would have more discharge than required. Did that affect this report?
We did not exceed any of our events. We came close to 90% of our monthly design flow in the month of October because of the high rain events that entire month. But that was it. But during 2018, we did not have any items related to Emmy Roth that would have caused us to exceed our reports and limits.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yep.
It's on this third paragraph. You had one at the corner of Lincoln and Maple Drive due to improper materials being put down the drain. Is that the drain within the house?
Yes. What happened was someone put improper materials down the drain, whether it was a regular drain or whether it was a toilet. We're not sure, but it ended up causing a plug in our system. It got partway down to just below the manhole at Lincoln and Maple Drive and basically blocked our line, and it filled up the manhole until it started leaking out. When we got there, we stopped it. We cleaned out the lines and found the materials in the line, rags and other materials.
Were you able to determine which property it came from?
No.
No?
Other questions or comments? Congratulations to everyone who is working at this plant, because obviously A in every category is pretty remarkable. That's really something to be proud of.
Thank you.
All right, that is it for our information item. I believe I could take a motion to adjourn.
I want
Oh,
to,
sorry.
Madam President, I want to apologize that I left early last week, or 2 weeks ago, because it was a very long meeting and I had a sitter at home that I needed to get to.
It was a very long meeting. Thank you, Barb. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Sharp,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Shanley,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Sweet.